Hello, 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 my loves. Happy Monday, and welcome to another edition of the weekly Astro Forecast live here in the Astro Room on YouTube. I am your host and your favorite astrologer, Mel of Divine Feminine Works, where I help people unlock their divinity and discover their magic. So, if this is our first time meeting, welcome. And as always, if you are returning, welcome back. So this channel is everything astrology, spirituality, and manifestation. So if those are the things you like, if those are the things you love, or if those are the things you want to learn more about, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell so you'll always be notified when I come out with new content. All right, my love. So this is the weekly Astro forecast for the week of April 22nd through 28th, 2024. So how are we feeling? How is this week feeling so far? And I ask because astrologically speaking, this is actually kind of a dry week. There is really not much going on. However, I got some good news and some not so good news. So let us start with the good news. Number one, we are officially out of eclipse season for this part of the year. So I know that there's been a lot going on. I know the energy has been heavy. I know there's a lot of been crazy. I know that there has been a lot of craziness going on. So that's going to subside a little bit because not only are we exiting eclipse season, but beginning in May, we're going to start retrograde season. Now, what I mean by that is every planet goes retrograde. Mercury goes retrograde the most frequent, which is 3 or 4 times a year. However, the outer planets like Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, they will be retrograde from like anywhere from 6 months to about 4 months of the year. So we start off the year with most planets direct. And this kind of makes sense because between like January 1st and the natural new year of like May 19th, it's go time, right? All planets are direct. We're moving forward. But then as we get closer to the summer, the planets start going retrograde one by one. And so this is the time for us to kind of slow down and get intentional. So we're out of eclipse season. May starts retrograde season, right? Plus this week, Mercury, that has been retrograde since April 1st, is going direct. So we have a little bit of levity here. We have some lighthearted energy. We have things sort of moving forward. And I said, this is a week that's kind of dry. There isn't that much cosmic activity. However, tomorrow we have a full moon in Scorpio, which is going to be super intense. So even though we've left eclipse season, this full moon in Scorpio is going to pack quite a punch, all right? And it's nothing to be afraid of. It's nothing that's going to be jarring. However, it is an amazing opportunity to change your life. Okay, so I will get into that in a second. But like I said, this week, things are kind of a little slow, a little quiet, which we can definitely use. All right, so I already see so many of you guys going off in the chat. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. All right, so before we get into the details, of course, housekeeping and announcements. So if you are joining here on the live this evening, thank you so much for tuning in. I sincerely appreciate you. Say hi on your way in and definitely hit that like button, please, and thank you. And if you are joining me on the replay, I appreciate you just as much. I sincerely hope that you get what you're looking for with this broadcast, right? This is like your cosmic weather report. If you want to know if it's raining tomorrow, cosmically speaking, I will definitely let you know. So hopefully you get what you're looking for in this broadcast. And if you do, definitely hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the notification bell if you haven't already. All right. So if you're someone who's looking for your horoscope and you have no idea where to look, or perhaps what you're seeing on the internet is not necessarily resonating with you, then definitely consider subscribing to my text message service where you will get weekly horoscopes every Monday morning. They're short, sweet, to the point. People seem to really resonate with them. So if you are interested, you will want to text the word ZODIAC to the number 855-826-5544. That information will be in the description box below in case you missed it. All right. And of course, if you are someone who is new to astrology and you have no idea what's going on, right? Okay. Where is this? Okay. There we go. If you are someone who is brand spanking new to astrology and you have no idea what's going on, or maybe you started studying astrology and you're realizing that it's a lot and it can be overwhelming, don't worry, I've got you covered. So I created this thing called the Astrology Basics Cheat Sheet, which basically gives you the quick and dirty on everything you need to know to start learning and understanding astrology, mainly the 4 pillars of astrology, which are the planets, the houses, the zodiac signs, and the aspects. So it's an 11-page PDF document that gives you a quick summary on all of these things so you can start committing them to memory, because regardless of what anyone says or doesn't say, astrology is indeed a science. And like any science, it requires a good deal of study. So to help you get started, I created this cheat sheet. So if you are interested, the link will be in the description box below. All you need to do is drop your email and you are good to go. All right. I'm also excited because I just recently launched our channel membership. So if you are interested in joining the channel, you can become a roommate, which essentially entitles you to more content, exclusive content, early access to videos, and discount on products and services forever. All right. So it is not only a great way to get more content, specifically sign specific content, but it's also an amazing way to support the channel so I can keep bringing you this information and help develop things in the future. So if you're interested, the link will be in the description box below. All right. And then finally, the last thing I will say is that I do a monthly webinar on a different topic in astrology, and coming up in May, specifically on May 8th, is going to be love and money in your natal chart. All right. So these are the 2 topics that most people are obsessed with. When am I going to find love? When am I going to get married? How can I make more money in my life? Your natal chart can and does tell you how to do all of those things. And in this webinar, I will teach you how to figure all of those things out. All right. So that webinar is going down on May 8th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't worry if you can't make it. The replay will be emailed to you. Link is in the description box below, as well as being tagged to this video. All right. So this week, not much going on, but we do have a full moon in Scorpio, which tends to be and likely will be quite intense. Scorpio is an intense planet. Scorpio tends to get a bad rep because Scorpio tends to deal with a lot of dark energy. It tends to deal with death. It tends to deal with a lot of things that, society would deem ugly or things like that. But Scorpio energy is super important, right? Just like all of the energy of the zodiac signs is important. But Scorpio has a lot to do with transformation. And this is important at this point in time because we are at the precipice of a new generation. The world is changing. And you can either adapt or not. And if you choose not to, whatever is left, whatever you have to deal with is not necessarily going to be so pleasant. So it's like the universe is giving you ample opportunity to change, to transform. And this full moon in Scorpio is no exception. All right. Now I will get to this in a second. I've actually done a dedicated video for this full moon in Scorpio. So if you haven't checked it out already, I will leave the link to that in the description box below so you can check it out. But of course, this full moon is all about transformation, and it's going to show you the truth. It's like this particular full moon is a truth bearer, for better or for worse, right? But just like anything, especially in astrology, nothing is either good or bad. It's more so things just are. And it depends on how you use the energy and how you use the information that this energy provides to you. So apart from that, like I said, it's a really dry week. So without further ado, let's get into the week and see exactly what we've got going on. So, of course, the highlights. First, we have what I like to call lighting up the darkness, and this is the full moon in Scorpio. So like I just mentioned, Scorpio is very much concerned with darkness, right? Scorpio is a water sign, so I want you to think of Scorpio energy as like the very bottom of the ocean. I believe it was in 2022, right, when they had that voyage to find the Titanic, when that little submarine was using like a Nintendo Wii or some shit to like to guide it to the bottom of the ocean to, excavate the Titanic. You see how the bottom of the ocean is dark. You can't even really get to it. There's a lot of pressure down there, right? That is the essence of Scorpio energy. But as we know, pressure makes Diamonds. And so Scorpio energy is super important in terms of transformation. That's exactly what this full moon has to offer for us. So apart from transformation, secrets will be revealed. The truth will be uncovered and we'll be able to understand the truth, right? We'll also be able to acknowledge the things that we hide under the rug. Now, the one thing I will say about Scorpio energy is that it represents the underworld, right? It represents the things that are deemed ugly, that are deemed unsavory, that are deemed, bad by societal standards. However, it's not just about ignoring those things. It's more so about understanding them, bringing them to the light to be understood. And this is exactly how this full moon is going to operate, hence why it's going to be kind of intense, but I'll get to that in a little bit. Next, we have what I like to call it's go time, all right? And so Mercury will be moving direct in the sign of Aries. So this is sort of interesting because Mercury never goes too long retrograde, right? Mercury will always be retrograde for about 3 weeks. Now, granted, depending on how Mercury retrograde is acting, it can feel like 3 months to 3 years, especially if you have a lot of mishaps, a lot of things are being delayed. This particular Mercury retrograde was kind of not that bad. I think maybe because it was foreshadowed by the solar eclipse in Aries, right? But in any event, Mercury went retrograde on April 1st, April Fool's Day. And then this week, it will finally be going direct in Aries. And in Aries, it is really about getting going and starting something new. So I wouldn't be surprised if, even though there isn't that much cosmic activity going on this week, with Mercury going direct in Aries, I feel like many of us are going to feel that jolt. I mean, the thing that's coming to mind is, when you're kind of on an escalator, or when you're on one of those moving conveyor belts in the airport and you get to the end, and it's like, especially the ones in the airport, right? And it's like you're going forward and then all of a sudden you're jolted forward once you get to the end of that conveyor belt. That's kind of what this Mercury direct in Aries is going to feel like. So it's really going to be about go time, right? It's starting something new ideas, new conversations, and learning new things, right? Technically now we're in Taurus season. However, Mercury went retrograde in Aries during Aries season. And Aries season is all about starting new things, the motivation, the drive to start new things, right? But Mercury retrograde had you pumping your brakes. Now it's going to be go time. Now it's going to be time to start something new. So I feel like we're definitely going to feel that, like physically, viscerally. So that should be something interesting. And then finally, we have what I like to call let go. And this is the waning moon. So we have the full moon in Scorpio this week. And then later on this week, we will start making our way to the new moon in Taurus, which is going down in May, right? So when the moon is waning, it's really about letting go. It's about relinquishing things that no longer serve you. So this week, the moon is going to be in Scorpio at the full moon, and then in Sagittarius and Capricorn at the waning moon. So this is going to really have us being adventurous and seeing the bigger picture and letting go of anything that doesn't align with that bigger picture. And also getting structured and keeping our eyes on the prize. So this week may find you not necessarily focusing on the details, but really focusing on the bigger picture and letting go of anything that doesn't align with that bigger picture. So not much going on, but what is going on is pretty significant. All right. So without further ado, let's get into the details. Okay. So as you can see, pretty sparse this week. So tomorrow we have that full moon in Scorpio. On Thursday, we have Mercury going direct in Aries and the moon moving into Sagittarius. And then on Sunday, we have the moon in Capricorn. Easy peasy for the most part. All right. So let's get into it. All right. So first thing up is that full moon in Scorpio going down tomorrow, April 23rd at 7:48 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And again, I did a whole dedicated video to this. Link is in the description box below. If I had to sum up this full moon in one phrase, it would be what is done in the dark comes to light. And that's not necessarily a karmic thing, right? It's more so about the truth. It's more so about things being uncovered and secrets being revealed. All right. Now, if you look at the chart, you will see that the sun is at 4 degrees of Taurus, and the moon exactly opposite to that is at 4 degrees of Scorpio. All right. So 4 is the magic number for this full moon, and 4 has to do with stability. And so you may be thinking, all right, Mel, you told me that this moon is about transformation and change, but now you're saying 4 is about stability. So in order to have stability, we need to perhaps change certain things. Taurus is about building a foundation. Taurus has a lot to do with the number 4, right? Like I said, this full moon is going down at 4 degrees of Scorpio. So 4 is the numerology for this full moon. And the full moon means that the moon is in Scorpio and the sun is in Taurus. So with the sun in Taurus, we're kind of preoccupied with the notion of stability. Taurus is grounded, it's stubborn, it's about building foundations, right? It's about creating a home. It's about preparing a nest egg. It's about building the foundation of a home so that you can have things, that you can amass things. Now, with the full moon in Scorpio, it's almost like this full moon is going to show you perhaps what is impeding you from having this particular stability, this security, right? The axis of Taurus and Scorpio has a lot to do with resources, aka money, your money, shared money, debt, assets, things that you value. So there could very well likely be an undercurrent of money or resources with this particular full moon, which has a lot to do with stability, right? Regardless of how spiritual you are, how enlightened you are, we still live on earth and money makes the world go round here, right? So we kind of have to get our minds wrapped around the idea of money and resources, and Taurus and Scorpio help us do that. So what is standing in the way of your stability? Now, the thing with Scorpio is that Scorpio energy has a lot to do with our psyche, has a lot to do with our psychology, meaning the motivation and the intention behind what we do. And Scorpio energy has a lot to do with self-reflection, in the sense that Scorpio is a truth seeker and it goes very much beneath the surface to find the truth. And with the full moon in Scorpio, right, the full moon illuminates. It's when the moon is the brightest that it will be during the lunar cycle. It's like it sheds a huge spotlight on what has been hidden. So it's like the Scorpio full moon is like, all right, I'm going to show you what's really good with your resources. I'm going to show you what's really good with your self-worth or the things that you value, right? And that truth, that spotlight may shine a light on things that are ugly, right? Scorpio has a lot to do with the underworld, and the underworld has a lot to do with the things that we deem bad, that we deem ugly, that we deem negative, right? And this is where a lot of people, I don't want to say go astray, but we're very much conditioned to stay away from negativity. Negativity is bad. Don't engage with that kind of stuff, right? That's of the devil, okay? And I'm not going to say that evil doesn't exist, negativity doesn't exist. They do. However, there is much to learn from negativity. And if you shy away from it, you are shying away from the lessons that you ultimately need to learn. It's not to say that you need to wallow in the negativity, right? You have to recognize it and use the lessons that you learn from that negativity to improve, to transform. Another keyword for Scorpio energy is transmute. It's like you take the negative and you turn it into a positive. It is the practice of alchemy. And that is the undercurrent of this full moon. Because invariably what ends up happening a lot of the time is that we encounter negative things, we encounter hardship, we encounter obstacles and things like that. And we're just like, oh, I'm not going to feel this. I'm not going to deal with this. That is negative. That's not good. I need to ignore it, shove it under the rug, leave it for later or whatever. Meanwhile, it's like the way to really work with that kind of energy is to transmute it. You glean what you're supposed to glean from it, and then you turn it into a positive situation. And that's no easy feat. I'm not going to say that it's something easy to do. However, that's the essence of our divinity. You have the ability to do that, whether you believe it or not. Now, it's up to you to put it to practice, but you indeed have that ability to transmute negativity. I forgot what movie it was, but someone used to say, like, it's like turning shit to shinola, right? It's like turning coal to diamonds, right? And how do you do that? Like I said before, under pressure. Pressure makes diamonds. And this is that kind of full moon that kind of has that flavor to it. So even though we are out of eclipse season, and eclipse season is just wild, like it's the wild, wild west. Anything can happen. A lot of times anything does happen. And then we follow it up with this full moon in Scorpio. And some of you may be saying, especially if you've had a somewhat tough eclipse season, you're probably like, listen, I've had enough. I don't want any more intensity, right? However, I want you to really be present and pay attention to what is revealed to you at this full moon. Now, you're going to want to look at where Scorpio is in your chart. That will let you know what area of life is going to be highlighted at this full moon, right? If Scorpio is your 7th house, then your relationships, and by relationships, I mean committed relationships, business relationships, anything to which you are contractually bound will be highlighted. If Scorpio is your 4th house, that means it's home and family. If it's your 10th house, that means it's career. These are the places where you're going to see everything for what it really is, the ugly truth of something. And it's not meant to scare you. It's not meant to deter you. It's not meant to make you feel bad. It's to show you where you need to improve. It's to show you what kind of energy you need to transmute. Okay? It's super important. At this point in time, we have to recognize that we're spiritual beings. And we are spiritual beings having a human experience and not the other way around. And so with that, it means that things just don't happen to us for no reason, right? They're here to show us things. Everything is here to help improve you. I promise you that. And so whatever comes to pass at this full moon, whatever becomes illuminated, use it as information. Perhaps it is you standing in your own way by way of a bad habit or a hang up or an obsession, right? And I know coming to terms with that is tough because we're conditioned with shame and guilt. And if we do something wrong, we're bad people, right? That's not the case. We're human. We make mistakes. However, sometimes we stand in our own way. Sometimes we are hung up on something. Sometimes we have a bad habit that just won't let us be great. And this full moon is going to show you exactly what that is. So pay attention, okay? Now, it's also going to be emotional because Scorpio is, even though it is intense, it's still a water sign. And Scorpio typically connotes deeply seated emotions. You know, I said before, Scorpio energy is like the bottom of the ocean. And all of those feelings you've repressed, all of those feelings that you've ignored, all of those feelings that you've rationalized but haven't felt, yeah, those are going to come up. Light is going to be shown on those. Not to remind you how bad you think you are, not to remind you of your shortcomings, but to say, hey, this is what you've been holding on to. This is what has been standing in your way. So what are we going to do about it? Are we going to stop smoking? Are we going to stop, indulging in, emotional eating? Are we going to stop, and excuse my French, are we going to stop fucking our feelings away? No. We're going to address these things so that we can move forward successfully. And that's exactly what this full moon is going to do. All right. And again, watch the video on the full moon in Scorpio. Super, super, super informative. All right. Let's keep it moving. All right, so now on Thursday, we have Mercury finally going direct and the moon moving into Sagittarius. So you'll see at the bottom right-hand corner, you will see Mercury, the little purple guy, will be at 15 degrees of Aries. And then on the left-hand portion of the chart, you will see the moon at 0 degrees of Sagittarius. All right, so first, let us talk about Mercury direct. So Mercury went retrograde in Aries, and I spoke about this at length in both the April monthly and the first weekly astro forecast for the month of April. Mercury in Aries is about adopting a new mindset. It's about speaking new things into existence. It's about starting new things in a bold and dynamic way and perhaps adopting a new mindset that may be radically different from, your mindset in the past, okay? However, when Mercury was retrograde, you kind of had to pump the brakes. You kind of had to think of plans but not execute them. Put things together but not start them. Right? It was definitely revving up the engine, but not necessarily going anywhere. But now that Mercury is going direct in Aries, it's like all systems are go. Okay. Things will start functioning as normal, hopefully. And you'll also be able to think new ideas. So if you found that over the last 3 weeks, you might have had brain fog, or maybe you've been trying to get something off the ground, but it hasn't really moved forward in the speed and in the time that you wanted it to, I feel like with Mercury going direct in Aries, it's going to be that time to really start things. Mercury in Aries is very vocal, it's very blunt, and it's very direct. And Mercury, not necessarily the planet of advertising, but it is the planet of communication. So now is going to be the time to let people know what you do, who you are, and what you need. And this is about being blunt. This is straight, no chaser. This isn't about, let me whatever. No, tell people who you are, what you do, and what you want. Okay, with Mercury being direct, it's go time. It's time to start something new. All right. So definitely take advantage of that because Mercury will not be in Aries much longer, probably for the next 2 weeks. And then thereafter, it'll move into Taurus where it's going to slow down a little bit. So if you are looking to start something new, I would definitely begin it this week and definitely up until the beginning of May. So definitely keep that in mind. And then I love this because the moon is going to be moving into Sagittarius. So we came from the full moon in Scorpio, which was like at the depths of the ocean, the dark, cold recesses of the ocean. And then we soar into the heavens. What I love about the moon in Sagittarius is that it is optimistic and it is hopeful and it sees the bigger picture. So while the energy of the full moon in Scorpio can be intense, it can be heavy, even emotionally draining, you are going to have a reprieve by the middle of the week when the moon moves into Sagittarius. It's going to get you to understand that you kind of had to go through that dark night of the soul, if you will, with that full moon in Scorpio to sort of get your shit together. And now that moon in Sagittarius is going to take you to new heights. Now, here's the thing. With the waning moon in Sagittarius, you have to travel light. That's why we have to go through that full moon in Scorpio. Full moon in Scorpio is getting you to divest yourself of emotional baggage. It's getting you to get rid of all of the emotional gunk that you've been holding on to. That's like having you run a race with shackles on your feet, right? Difficult. Moon in Sagittarius is like, listen, if it doesn't align with the bigger picture, if it doesn't align with your overarching goals and dreams, then you got to let it go. So, key phrase for the moon in Sagittarius is travel light. Okay? Keep that in mind. All right, let's keep it moving. All right. And then as you see, we close out the moon. We close out the week on Sunday with the moon in Capricorn. Okay. So you will see, is this Sunday? Yeah. I think I put the wrong picture up here because this is not, that's April 21st. Okay. Wrong thing. However, the moon will be in Capricorn on Sunday. All right. So We go from the depths of the ocean with the full moon in Scorpio. Then we move to the stratosphere with the moon in Sagittarius. And then we kind of come back down to earth with the moon in Capricorn. Moon in Capricorn is going to keep you grounded. It's going to get you to be realistic and practical. Anytime the moon is in Capricorn, that is when we tend to get organized, we tend to get structured, and we tend to understand how this world works. What I mean by that is that we live in a dimension when things move kind of slowly. Things are, you have a phone that has weight to it that you can touch, right? Things are 3D in this 3D reality. And when the moon is in Capricorn, we kind of understand that. We know that although we can soar to new heights, with Sagittarius energy, particularly the moon in Sagittarius, we understand that we are kind of limited by space and time here in this 3D reality, right? So the moon is in Capricorn. It can be a little sobering. It can be a little depressing because we realize our limitations and we become a lot more cognizant of our obstacles and our challenges. However, Capricorn energy, and Capricorn is ruled by the planet Saturn. It's all about character building. It's iron sharpening iron. Okay, so whatever hardships, whatever limitations you find in your life, it's ultimately to build character. All right. So while the moon is in Capricorn, definitely not the sexiest placement, obviously. However, it is great for getting organized and getting to work. So over the weekends, even though Sunday is, typically a day of rest or whatnot, it's a great day to get organized for the week ahead, especially with the moon in Capricorn. All right. And my loves, that is the forecast for the week. Like I said, not too much going on. All right. So now, of course, we move into messages from Spirit. All right, my love. So you know the deal. So I will choose one card or maybe two if Spirit chooses for each sign for this week. All right. So these messages are by sign. It could be your sun, moon, rising, Venus, Jupiter, North Node. Doesn't matter. If it is your message, it is for you. And if it doesn't resonate, then it is not. All right. So of course, we begin with Aries. So let's see what we have for Aries for this week. Aries, we've got the Hierophant. Okay. So it's weird. I'm getting this standoff kind of energy. It's like you are going toe to toe with someone. You see how these two skulls are kind of just staring at each other, almost in like a standoff kind of stance. It's like perhaps you found or you've encountered a worthy opponent, someone who has the same sort of energy as you. Maybe they're going after the same thing as you, right? This situation is going to require faith. It's going to require you to have faith not only in a greater power, but more so in your own abilities, okay? A lot of times we have to have faith in what we don't see. We have to have faith in things we don't understand. And we have to have faith in situations that look like losing situations, although they are not. You're in some kind of competition. You're in some kind of standoff, if you will. And it's going to require some faith. And definitely, like I said, faith in your own abilities. But I believe that you can definitely come out on top. However, this particular situation, this standoff, this competition, it represents a turning point in your life right now. And whether you win or lose, understand that your life is going to change from this point on. And it's like you kind of have to just go with it. And perhaps this standoff has to do with like where you're headed, versus where you're coming from. It's almost like it's you versus you in a sense. And you're sort of battling to see, okay, am I going to go in a new direction or am I going to stick to the tried and true and what I know? You have to have faith at this time and let whatever is meant to change. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense. All right. Next up, we've got Taurus. Let's see what we've got for Taurus for this week. All right, Taurus. We've got the 10 of Pentacles. So first and foremost, money is looking very good. I like that for you. Second of all, there is this element of rest. I want you to look at the imagery of this card. It's like two dogs who are seemingly resting. Perhaps they're napping together, right? This is like letting you know that everything is okay. Everything is stable. You don't have to be on guard. You don't have to be watching. You don't have to be trying to make the next move. This is sort of this rest and appreciate how far you've come energy. And this is perfect for you because we are currently in your season. This season, your season particularly, is about appreciating who you are and what you have. And this card lets me know, or is letting me know to remind you, you have a lot. You have a lot to be thankful for. And this stability is long lasting. This isn't something that's fleeting. This isn't something that's here today, gone tomorrow. It's here to stay. So get into an attitude of gratitude. Appreciate where you at and understand that this perhaps is definitely your new normal. I love that for you. All right, next up we've got Gemini. Let's see what we've got for Gemini for this week. All right, Gemini, we've got two cards for you. The first card up is the Ace of Swords, and then we have the Knight of Pentacles. There is a decision that needs to be made, or there is a decision that you've already made. However, the implementation and the execution of this particular decision is a long time coming. This could be deciding to start saving for a big ticket item. This could be deciding to pull the trigger on a new job or a home relocation, right? Whatever it is, understand that this particular decision has long-lasting effects, and the effects of this decision are going to take quite a while to come to fruition. So if you're expecting an overnight change, if you're expecting something to change rapidly, I don't think that that's going to be the case. I think that once you set your mind to something, the wheels are going to start turning, but things aren't going to come to fruition for a while. So you need to practice patience and definitely perseverance. Just because you don't see the effects of it now doesn't mean that it's not coming. So you definitely have to stay optimistic. But I definitely feel like this is a week perhaps where you're going to be making a very important decision that will have long-lasting effects. Okay. All right. Next up, we've got Cancer. Let's see what we've got for, Cancer for this week. That just shot out. Okay, Cancer. We've got the Two of Cups. Cancer, you are letting me know that you are enjoying someone's company. There's a relationship, an emotional relationship perhaps, that is really the focus this week. Like some of you are really basking in the glow of a particular relationship. The two snakes, right? You see how that looks like the medical symbol. It's telling me that this particular relationship is very healthy. It's like you're being intentional about getting into a healthy relationship, and you're really just enjoying the fruits of that intentionality. I really like this for you because I must say, Cancer, over the last couple of years, you've kind of gone through the ringer when it has come to relationships, especially if you're a Cancer rising. For the longest time, you had Pluto in your 7th house of relationships, and things were ending catastrophically. And now, after Pluto has now left Capricorn and gone into Aquarius, it's like you guys have learned what a healthy relationship is like. And many of you either are in a healthy relationship or are on your way to being in a healthy relationship. And you're kind of just enjoying that right now. So I really, I really, really like that for you guys. This is beautiful. Okay. Next up, we've got Leo. Let's see what we've got for Leo for this week. Leo, we've got the Six of Cups. This is the card of nostalgia. Some of you guys are really thinking about something or someone from the past. It's like there was a situation in the past that made you feel very good. It made you feel secure. It made you feel loved. It made you feel beautiful. And you're thinking about that. You're thinking about not only how it made you feel, but how you want to replicate that feeling in the future. For some of you, I want you to see the imagery on this card, right? You have what looks like a larger child bringing flowers to a younger child. Some of you are this larger child. It's like you want to revisit this thing from the past. You want to perhaps even recreate this scene from the past. And I feel like it would do you some good, not just because of how it'll make you feel, but there's something about this particular situation that has a lot to do with your inner child. Some of you really need to revisit your inner child, what your inner child would want, what makes your inner child happy, and do more of that. So I feel like this week may have you taking a trip down memory lane. And I feel like you need it. You really need it to sort of boost your morale and get you motivated to move forward. So if you find that you're kind of moving backward a little bit this week, it's by design because it's actually helping you to propel you forward. Okay. Next up, we've got Virgo. Let's see what okay. Not going to take that. Let's try this again. Next up, we have Virgo. Let's see what we have for Virgo for this week. All right, Virgo, you've got the King of Cups. So there is a King of Cups that may be significant this week. And cups are the water signs. That could be Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces. Someone is really feeling you. Someone is really in your, I'm hearing sphere of influence. And I'm not quite sure what that means exactly. But someone is really feeling emotional about you. And they're very much sure of their emotions. I love that it is a king. The king of any suit, right? The king of wands, the king of pentacles, the king of swords, and the king of cups. They are masters of their suit. So this person is a master of their emotions. So this isn't someone who's being erratic. This isn't someone who's just like blowing smoke up your ass. This is someone who knows what they want, knows how they feel about you, and they might even be very serious about you. This is someone who definitely takes you seriously and has serious emotions concerning you. So this may come to light with the full moon in Scorpio. Or it may be time to move things forward with this person now that Mercury is finally going direct. Okay, so whatever it is, I feel like this King of Cups is going to play a significant role in your life this week. Okay, next up, we've got Libra. Let's see what we've got for Libra for this week. Libra, I like this for you too. You also have the 10 of Pentacles. Money is looking good this week. Things are looking secure. You can finally rest. Some of you have been feeling anxious. Some of you have been feeling like a watchdog, right? Like waiting to see when something is going to pop off, when you've got to bark at something, when you have to attack someone. Again, look at these dogs. They are lying still. They're sleeping, actually. Everything is stable. Everything is secure. So you can relax. You can relax. You can take solace in the fact that things are stable this week, okay? I definitely feel like you need this reprieve, so definitely take advantage of it. All right, next up, we've got Scorpio. Let's see what we've got for Scorpio for this week. Scorpio, we've got the 4 of Swords. So there is a lot of healing that is going on this week. So this may be a week that is very quiet for you, that can be very solitary, or perhaps where you find yourself in isolation because you kind of just need to get your shit together. So either you're getting your mind right, maybe you're resting, maybe you're healing from something. Now this full moon is going down in your sign, and this is definitely a moon of transformation. So it's like you are... Think of the caterpillar to the butterfly pipeline, right? You know how much energy, how much physical energy it takes for the caterpillar to turn into the butterfly? Rest is definitely important. And that is why the caterpillar resides in the chrysalis for so long, because it not only needs to rest, but that's sort of where it regroups. So I feel like this is a week where you're regrouping. This is a week where you are sort of assessing everything. You're getting everything together while you're in the process of transforming. Okay, so be easy this week. Don't overexert yourself. Don't do the most. Allow yourself to rest. Perhaps you may even need more sleep this week. Okay, and if you do, definitely take advantage of that. But understand that you are going through a transition phase. You are actively transmuting energy, like I was talking about before. And so you will definitely need your rest this week. Okay. Next up, we've got Sagittarius. Let's see what we've got for Sagittarius for this week. Okay, Sag, you've got 2 cards. You've got the 8 of Cups and you've got the Four of Wands. Immediately, it's like you are definitely walking away from a situation. I don't know if you guys are breaking up with somebody this week, but you are definitely saying no to a situation. There was perhaps a situation that you thought was going to be a happy home, that you thought was going to be successful, celebratory, all the good things, and you're realizing that it's not. It's not living up to the expectations that you had, and so now it's time for you to walk away. Whatever this is, it's not emotionally fulfilling, and you're like, all right, I'm done, next. And you guys are doing it very hastily, not in a reckless sort of way, but I see you being very cut and dry with this. I don't see you wavering. I don't see you vacillating, being like, oh, I don't know if I should stay. You're just like, yeah, this isn't working for me anymore, and so I'm moving on to the next thing. All right. I wouldn't even necessarily be concerned about, I'm not saying don't be concerned about the other person's feelings, right? This isn't where you should be like cold-hearted and ghosting somebody, but you've really drawn a definite line in the sand, and you're like, yeah, this doesn't work for me anymore, and it is time to move on. And people will get it. It doesn't necessarily feel great in the moment, but people will understand. So I like this for you because it feels very decisive. It feels like, all right, I'm not putting up with any BS. Like, I'm really just going to go and find my happiness. So I feel like that's what you're going to be doing this weekend. Perhaps this full moon in Scorpio is going to show you what isn't working. It's going to show you that perhaps this big picture that you had in mind is not the reality of the situation. And so it is time for you to go. Okay. All right. Next up, we've got Capricorn. Let's see what we've got for Capricorn for this week. Okay, Cap, you've got two cards as well. You've got the Queen of Cups and you have the Three of Cups. All right. So this is a week that may find you working with others. This may be a week where it may be perhaps very emotional for you. Definitely with the full moon in Scorpio, I can definitely see that. I feel like it's focused on friends. I feel like it's focused on the people around you, okay? And so perhaps you're going through a situation where you're either bonding with your friends, so you may be going through something with your friends that sort of solidifies your relationship. Maybe you're going through a tough time and you're there for a friend, or perhaps it's the other way around and a friend is there for you. Either way, there's this emotional vulnerability that I think that you're going to be tapping into this week. And I feel like your friends are going to be there for you, or your friends are going to be instrumental with respect to this emotional vulnerability. Maybe your friends are really helping you through a difficult time, helping you to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And, you know, when all is said and done, I feel like this relationship with your friends is only going to be solidified by what you're experiencing with them or what you're allowing them to witness and see in your life. Okay. So don't shy away from your emotions this week. Allow people to help you, allow them to give you advice, allow them to be a support system to you, and vice versa, because only good can come from it. Okay. This isn't necessarily your wheelhouse, right? It's not to say that Capricorn isn't emotional, it's that emotions are not your default. You guys are about powering through things, moving forward, success, being ambitious and driven. And sometimes you will brush your emotions away because you see that end goal and you're like, listen, I just got to get to the end. This emotional thing can wait. I feel like this is a week where you're actually going to stop and really examine how you feel. And there's going to be people around you to support you. So definitely tap into that this week. Okay. Next up, we've got Aquarius. Let's see what we've got for Aquarius for this week. All right, Aquarius, we got the Three of Pentacles. So this is about work. This is about working with others. This is about teamwork, collaboration on something great. I feel like this message feels very plain and simple. It's like, this is going to be a week that you work, right? It's going to be a week where you get things together, where you continue working on something you've already been working on. And especially with Mercury going direct in Aries this week, I feel like where you may have experienced delays, where you may have felt like your start was stalled, I feel like this is the week where you're actually going to be able to get to work. And this is very fitting now that the sun is in Taurus. And Taurus is all about getting to work and building foundations. So I feel like this is the week where you're going to be building, where you're going to be getting to work, and where you're finally going to be moving forward towards something perhaps that you planned in Aries season or before that. Okay. And last but certainly not least, we've got Pisces. So let's see what we've got for Pisces for this week. Pisces, we've got the Four of Cups, all right? Be receptive to whatever is being offered to you this week. I feel like there can be a lot of opportunity, but maybe because you're in your own world and maybe because you kind of got your head in the clouds, you see this big cloud at the top. It's like you may miss opportunities that may be coming your way because you're either, lost, unfocused, or jaded. All right. There is help available. There is this element of assistance. There is this element of new opportunities that you definitely don't want to miss. So you need to be present and you need to keep your eyes open because assistance is definitely here for you. All right. Okay, my love. So that concludes this edition of the weekly Astro Forecast. I sincerely hope that you were able to get at least one important piece of information that you can use going into this new week. All right. For all information about my products and services, they are either tagged to this video or in the description box below. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have an amazing week, and I will see you in my next broadcast. All right, my loves. Take care.